Welcome back to the Spinnaker Podcast. I'm Captain David, and with me is Captain Drew. So just to recap, in our first episode, we talked about the history and formation of sailing schools. We also discussed what we thought were the qualities of a good school.
And when it came to what school you should choose, we agreed that you should pick a school that is closest to you and one that reflects the type of people you want to hang out with. What we didn't address was, what if I'm not close to a school?
Which is a great question. In this episode, we will discuss how you should prepare for your very first class and what you should expect from your school. We'll also answer some questions we forgot to fully answer in the last episode, such as, is the sport expensive? And what are the certificates that you earn good for? So, Drew, we got some nice comments on that first episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I had meant to, sorry, took a minute. I meant to pull them up so we could take a quick look at those. So if you can bear with me, I'll find it. Do you recall any one of those comments?
I said there was some good. I was amazed there wasn't more comments on the negative side of things, but I think people were just being nice.
Yeah, most likely.
It's the newbie podcaster grace.
One of the things that we didn't get, we'll get to the good stuff in a second, but one of the things that we didn't get that I was hoping for is some questions about things that they want to see.
That's a problem.
You're supposed to put that on silent.
I know. Rules.
Yeah. So here are some of the comments. Here, I'll let you scroll through and you pick the one that you want to talk about. So while he's doing that, one of the things that I would like to see from our listeners is any topics that you want us to discuss. Now, I realize we're starting out giving you information on what sailing schools are about. Is there value in that? Is there other ways of learning? So on and so forth. But there also might be some sailors out there that have already gained the experience and have been doing it for a while, whether through a sailing school or on your own. And maybe you could send us some ideas of, different things that you've encountered that we could talk about. Sailing's a huge world, Everybody sails differently. Here in the Bay, we have people that, buy boats, but they never leave the Bay, which is fine. We have others that are... there's a few cruisers out there.
Yeah.
That actually...
Not San Francisco Bay is not a great cruising ground, but there are people that do it.
And you also see in lots of YouTube channels where they have come from further northwest, and San Francisco is always a stopping point. One, they want to see San Francisco. And they do whatever they have to do on their to-do list, and then they head out for work.
And they've just had their ass kicked sailing down from Seattle and need a break.
Well, it's better than sailing from here to Seattle.
Oh, God, yes.
Okay. So what do you got for us on the comments?
Well, it was interesting because we had a couple of people that were pointing out just how important it was for you to take lessons from a school that was near you. We had a guy in the East Bay that talked about how he interviewed a lot of schools, and he ended up with one that was literally just down the street from him. Though he really wanted to come to us, the Bay Bridge was just too much. It was a bridge too far, if you will.
Yeah, sure. If you're not familiar with the San Francisco area, we have two major bridges. The Golden Gate Bridge, which San Francisco's on a peninsula. The Golden Gate Bridge goes to Marin County, where Sausalito and Tiburon are. Maybe, Robin Williams used to live in Tiburon. And then we have another bridge that goes from our peninsula to the Oakland side of the bay, which is the Bay Bridge. So we have three different areas, and the things that you choose to do may very much depend on the traffic and the speed in which you're going to get across either one of those bridges. So,
yeah, and actually a guy that started teaching for us, Jack taught for a few years, and now he's got twins. So Jack's taking a break from sailing. Congratulations, Jack.
He's living in Austin, Texas, by the way.
But he did quite a bit of sailing in the Bay Area, and he really pointed out one of the big benefits that we have that we enjoy, and that is literally we are 5 minutes from setting sail and going sailing.
Right.
And we're the only location that's just right there. with the exception of Modern Sailing's Berkeley location, but they're at the lee side of the bay. So,
And he also mentions the difficult part of Berkeley.
yeah,
If you go to the first episode and click on comments, look for Jack's, because it also provides you information if you're in the Bay Area.
he's got a great summary of all the locations: Sausalito, Richmond, Berkeley, San Francisco. So it's he really talks about the good and the bad of each location.
The other comment I saw, I think it was Josh B, which was interesting because Drew had in the first episode said, hey, we get people from Connecticut who have never sailed and sustained 20 plus knots, and they're like, and it's ironic because this guy actually came from the East Coast like I did. I came originally from Connecticut. He came from Connecticut and got out here with the intentions of teaching and stuff like that, and realized, and he even said, I got my butt handed to me at the beginning, and it was a really good learning experience for him, so he could really relate to what we were talking about. So as we go on in this episode about schools and stuff, just you may have already picked up on it. Just realize that the Bay Area is a very different body of water, and we'll get into that later. Was there anything else?
I desperately wish I would have had a body cam on Josh when he got here and just going through the process. That would be so cool if you could actually get somebody that's just coming into the Bay Area or just coming into the program and say, I need to wear a body cam, and we're going to, what was that movie with Jim Carrey, the something show? The Truman Show.
Truman Show.
Yeah, do a Truman Show thing, so we could just see that progression as he goes through the butt kicking part to the part to where he's finally figured out how not to get his butt kicked, and how long that takes and what he's got to go through to get there.
I don't know what the number is. Here, I'm going to tell you two things about San Francisco. People always think it's ridiculously foggy and cold. But last year, we averaged somewhere around 285 days of sun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now a lot of people are attributing that to climate change. And here's a rare moment where I'm okay with it. Okay, because my wife grew up here, and 20 years ago, 30 years ago and back, it was not like this. So San Francisco is unbelievably beautiful right now. So misnomer number one. Fact number one. Most of the year, especially after, say, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you're always sailing, if you're in the main bay, okay, which we call the slot or by Alcatraz or whatever.
Pier 39 to Angel Island.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're sailing in our bay after 1 o'clock, you're almost sailing in a small craft advisory.
You're always in small craft advisory, and you're often with, the gust rule in 30, 32, 34 knot puffs, which is light gale.
And then because we're technically an inland body of water, with the currents that we're working with, ebb and a flood, depending on the direction that the water's moving and where the wind is coming from, you can have idyllic seas, or you're going to have, swelly monsters out there, and it's not fun. So anyway, just a little background about the Bay, if you're not familiar with it. It is why when we talk about our school specifically, that we have certain things that we're always taking into consideration.
Yeah, meteorologically, San Francisco is famous for its microclimates.
Right.
We're down at South Beach, which some people call the San Francisco Riviera, because we are on the lee side of San Francisco. It's 7 miles to the beach from here, and all the wind goes across a bunch of hot land, because it's the warmer section. It's transiting the warmer section of San Francisco. So down south of the Bay Bridge where we're at, the winds are 25 to 35% less velocity, and there's virtually no wave set because the bay takes a dog leg to the right, and the short side of the bay is now facing the wind. The prevailing.
And there are exceptions.
Oh, always, yeah.
Obviously.
Well, the storms come in, and we get 15 foot waves breaking over the breakwater, but that's just in the winter.
But overall, where we are is a great training.
Oh, it's awesome.
Great training.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I love it for training. Okay, well, I didn't really expect to be talking about
that's okay.
all this right now, but I just wanted to give you a little background about where we are and why we do some things the way that we do. One of the questions that we talked about in the first episode, but didn't really get into. I hope people write about or comment about this.
Yeah. It'd be not great to hear comments about this.
Is sailing expensive?
Yes and no.
Right. Yes. Yeah. But okay. What do you think?
It's always managing people's expectations, because I told you the other day, we get so many people that come into the school and say, I want to get certified so I can charter 35 to 40 foot boats on San Francisco Bay.
Okay, I got a quick question.
Yeah.
Is that a new development that people want to charter boats also away from here? Has that grown, and do you think that's grown because YouTube video?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, there's a more worldly view to sailing now. I mean, all I can say is that back in the day, we've always been a smaller boat program, and that's primarily one from a expense related thing, because when you charter a 35 or 40 foot boat, depending on where you charter it from, the age of the boat, your club member status with that program, the costs can be on a 40 foot boat $1,000 a day.
Right.
And there's just not that many people, they all want it. They all want the 40 foot boat, but not many want to spend $1,000 a day on a bareboat charter.
And not if you live there. I mean, if you're taking a vacation, you've probably already put that in your budget.
Yeah.
That's what.
And then, $1,000 a day is cheap if you're going to the Caribbean. You're not going to find a $1,000 a day boat. But here, when people are just going for a casual charter over a few hours, that $1,000 a day adds up quickly. So they come in with that expectation, and then they leave with, well, I'd like to spend $300 or $400, and now they're down in the 26, 28 foot range, which is where you're going to be. And the whole idea is kind of matching your pocketbook with your expectations. Good example is, how can sailing be affordable here? I tell you, there's not many people that won't highly suggest a Santana 22 for sailing on San Francisco Bay. This is a boat you can
buy. Talking specifically about
this particular boat in this particular body of water. This boat was designed by Gary Moll for San Francisco Bay specifically. They raced here forever. We've got several designs, bird boats, bear boats. They're all designed for San Francisco Bay, but the Santana 22 is one of the first fiberglass boats specifically designed for the Bay. You can buy them. They were built in the 60s, and the last one was built in 72 of the Type 1s. For $2,500, and just bomb around the bay all day long. And, you've got a boat that's going to cost you $550, $600 a month to keep at a local marina and go sail your brains out. But it is a 22 footer, and there will be times on the bay when it's like standing in front of a hose nozzle.
Right.
Because it's just all
right.
So anyways, or you can buy older big boats and sail those, but your costs go up in maintenance of that type of thing.
Let's back it up a little bit, because you already got the listener owning a boat.
Yeah.
So the initial is being trained. How am I learning how to sail? So there's some costs associated with that, but we covered that in the first episode. We broke it down by what it generally comes to per hour, and I think it's manageable and it's pretty universal across the country. So you were just talking about owning a boat. So there's a lot that goes on with that. There's the purchase cost of the boat, the survey of the boat, any upgrades you want to do or fixes on the boat, where you're berthing it, obviously.
Insurance.
Oh, yeah, most definitely the insurance and the maintenance.
Bottom cleaning, that type of thing. Yeah.
Right. Maybe a haul out every 2-3 years.
Yep.
Whatever.
Which is just exploded cost-wise, yeah.
Right. Okay, so when we talk about expensive, that definitely adds up. But, what else do you have as a hobby? Is your hobby expensive and now you want to add another hobby or replace the hobby? So it's different for everybody. So we were just talking about somebody owning a boat. Well, what are the options that are less expensive to actually owning a boat? And remember, we're talking about the rest of this podcast, by the way, is going to assume that you live near a sailing area. Okay, you're not
some sailing area, not necessarily here.
Yeah, it could be a lake, it could be Florida, it could be wherever you may be, you have access. Not everybody does. They live in different parts of the country. But for the rest of the podcast, we're talking about those listeners that actually have access. Okay, so what are the options to not buying a boat?
Sailing clubs, timeshare programs, which fall into a few companies, but a lot of schools around the country have sail time programs. We here have timeshare sailing, which is another version of sail time.
So what you're saying,
and then partnerships.
There's one boat, and it's yes, you jumped ahead on me.
Yeah.
Partnerships. Timeshare is like a version of partnerships, but nobody owns.
It's like the best way to explain the timeshare program is it's a managed partnership. The problem with partnerships is somebody's got to take the lead,
right?
Be the bad cop, if you will. Dude, you left the boat nasty. You broke this. You owe this. A timeshare is the independent arbitrator of all things in a partnership.
Yeah, and you get it X amount of days a month, and so
you have a very finite, limited number of users, typically no more than 3 or 4 users on the boat. They all log into a calendar, and then the company that operates the timeshare program maintains the boat and makes sure that it's always ready, clean, ready for use. They deal with all the fluids, holding tanks, fuel, water, make sure that the boat's always great, pumped out, fully maintained, engine serviced, sails ready to go. It's just it's a managed partnership.
And most schools, I shouldn't say most, but
very few schools have that.
But they have some type of club sailing, or
they'll have bareboats.
Yeah.
And the difference between bareboats and in these managed partnerships, if you will, like timeshare, are that the bareboats get a wide variety of users with a very wide variety of skills, and the best way to look at it is the bareboat charter is more like a Hertz rental car. You see how people treat rental cars, and it's not uncommon for boats to be treated the same. The timeshare program is really more like borrowing your buddy's boat, because he knows you're on it, and that's the difference between timeshare and bareboat. Is the guy who's chartering the boat on Saturday has no idea who used the boat on Friday and left it nasty and whatever. Might be some hidden, undisclosed sail tears that he goes and set the sail and finds a 5-foot tear in the jib, and now he's got to defend that he didn't do that,
right?
Because there's no way that the location was able to inspect sails prior to turning the boat. And the timeshare people always own up to it because they know their name's on the schedule and everybody sees it. So that's the big difference between those. The timeshare just has a limited, finite number of users that tend to emotionally own the boat. It's the only boat they use.
Right.
The bare boats, the guys are using any boat in the fleet, and if they beat one up, they probably won't charter that one again. They're going to charter, that one's available. No, I want to take that one, because they realized last time, people run boats into rocks. We sell boats as well. We currently have a Jeanneau 32 that was in, I'm not going to mention what fleet, but one of the local fleets, and in its history over 10 years, it was run aground so hard that it broke the floors in the keel, and it did a $60,000 keel repair under insurance from a charter grounding. And then 2 years after that, somebody lost the mast on the boat. Which was 40 grand.
They didn't misplace the mast.
No, the mast got
timbered.
Timbered because they did something silly.
Right.
And so over that 10-year period, that's $100,000 worth of insurance repairs.
And that's a podcast for
And we're having a hell of a time selling the boat because we got to disclose all that. Everybody's like, I'm not sure I want that boat.
Okay, so we got a little tangent.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah. So that's
there are options.
There are options, and then you just have the regular partnership. Where you and your buddy say, it's like you and me saying, hey, we've talked about doing a partnership to buy a boat to go do pack up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. So it's, and then you've just got outright ownership, which a lot of people go for, but we're in a 750 berth marina, and we see pretty constantly the same 50 boats go out.
Yeah, true.
And so that means 700 of these boats are sitting, and right. Some of that is just because people buy them. They cashed out their stock option. They buy a brand new Beneteau. They go out and sail it twice, hit the boat coming in on a windy day. And that's the last time that boat leaves the dock. Now they're just on it for Giants games.
So, in a nutshell, you can look for what your learning center offers post all of your graduation, let's say. And some of them are, there's club sales too, where they take you out, but you manage the boat. There's timeshares, partnerships, and of course, buying a boat. So there's options to buying a boat. So we got that. So that was something we didn't get into is that we wanted to in the first episode. The second one was, and we touched on it briefly, certificates. What are they good for? So specifically talking about ASA or US sailing. And what we did say in the first episode was, at a minimum, their certificates are stating that you are now ready for the next course.
Right.
But
they're the qualification. Right.
Right. Yeah. But at the end of the line, and we'll call it the bareboat cruising one, 104, right? Which is really the last of the...
That's what most people are going for.
Yeah, right. But there are some advantages to the certificates. Your own ability is more important, but there are some advantages to the certificate. So they're important to your current school because they know where you're at. But they're going to be important to other schools. Like if you only went to, say, 103 through us and you wanted to go somewhere else to take the 104, they want to see that certificate or you're not going to be able to take it. So that helps. If you ever do own a boat, they're good for your
insurance. They're good for your state licensing qualifications. If your state has it.
Right, like California.
Like California has it.
Right. And also, eventually, if you do want to charter boats in other locations, we're gonna talk about bareboat chartering in foreign locations later. But any charter company is gonna want to say, hey, what are your credentials? What do you have? And you can state this, this, and this. And we'll talk about sailing resumes another day, which is even more important. But so just to say, what did we say? We say they're important for insurance, up your school, other schools, and possibly chartering a boat.
Absolutely. And critical the second you leave your home water. Without certifications, you're out of luck. Yeah. I mean, the only place you can charter worldwide now without a certification is currently the Caribbean, and that's shutting down next year.
Yeah, actually, I had, we're going to do this in another video talking about bareboat charters, and I had called various charter companies
to do that, yeah.
Asking, what is it that you're looking for? Everybody talks about what they say charter companies are looking for, and I wanted clarification. So I actually called them directly and I'll give you all that information. So yes, certificates are important. All right, so those are the two questions we forgot to get more in depth on in the first video. So here's the next question. And this is what we mentioned at the end of the first video. We told you about the history of the schools and whatnot, and you're getting stuff in the mail and you've signed up or emails or whatever. So how do you, as a new student, prepare for your 101 course, right?
Let me interject something.
Okay. Oh, this will be interesting.
We have found in today's society that people often aren't big fans of reading.
True.
And I will point out that if you choose not to read, learning to sail is going to be a challenging thing to accomplish.
Right.
Because there is a lot of theoretical information that is best absorbed via reading versus trying to pull it out of the air with osmosis.
However, and he's 100% right. If you go under the assumption that as you read, you're only going to absorb 30 to 40% of it, because if you don't have any background in sailing, the language is going,
it's foreign language.
Think about it. Whatever you do for work, you're a doctor, you're an attorney, you do taxes, right? If somebody walked into your office and saw you and a colleague talking, they're going to be standing there going, I have absolutely no idea. I got the word wind. I got the word port. Okay. You're not going to understand, oh, he's going to file a tort. What's a tort? Don't you eat tort?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So whatever occupation you're in, realize you're already working within a language that you've mastered with other people, and sailing is exactly the same thing.
Well, the reason I mention this is because I know your next question,
Okay.
because we're reading the same script.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, go ahead.
I was talking about the confirmation email that we send. And we do cover a lot of information in that confirmation, including links to our videos and specific textbook information, what to bring, all those things.
Right.
And it's all written down, and people just need to read. But oftentimes people come down to the class less than prepared, which is why we undertook the process of putting the entire curriculum into video format.
Which made, and not patting ourselves on the back about the videos that we put out for the students, is that it actually made them more prepared, and they could go back and review them and things like that. And the abilities in this last, well, I don't know, 4 years, the students have changed dramatically.
Well, it backstopped the people that don't read.
Yeah.
Because they were watching the videos. They were they like that type of education.
It's the type of world we're in.
It's a book on tape versus a book.
Yeah.
And so that we brought in a whole nother type of person that just doesn't read, but will listen to the book on tape. And they were picking up a lot of information from the video that prior to the videos, we were just losing those people.
Yeah, because it's very easy to be like, I don't know what I'm reading, and put the book down. So just to highlight the language thing, if you're looking to take classes, don't put that pressure on yourself. Take in as much as you can. We're going to review everything with you on the doc. It's going to be part of your daily conversation. Don't think committing things to rote memory is important. Just read, watch the videos, absorb what you absorb. But to let you know exactly how hard the ASA 101 class is over whatever period of time the school is teaching it.
Basic keel boat sailing.
Yes.
First step.
Okay? Basic. It's an introduction. This is an ASA logbook. By the way, I'm holding a logbook for the podcast. And there's 5 pages based on the things that you should know at the end. Sailing terminology, just to throw a few things out. Things that you might not know now. What a stanchion is. What the standing rigging is. What a backstay does. I don't know, batten pockets. I'm just trying to pick out stuff. Do you know what a shackle is? If you've ever been in a British prison in the 1800s, you know what a shackle is, I guess, right? Okay, so there's some terminology. Port, starboard, abaft. Or a beam.
Yeah, some of the term. Yeah,
Okay.
the specific nomenclature. Right?
Nobody ever says, I'm going astern.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 points abaft. Yeah.
Okay. Stand-on vessels, giveaway vessels, sailing by the lee. Okay. This is all on your test, by the way. I'm not just making crap up here. Navigation rules, aids to navigation. We got those things floating out there. What do they mean? The different safety gear and procedures. I'm trying to keep this as short as possible. I'm only on page 3. Oh, your skills. Okay. Using the halyards, using the downhaul, using the outhaul, boom bang, main sheet, jib sheets, winches, traveler. You probably don't even know what a traveler is. All your points of sail, heading up, bearing off. Goodness gracious.
Man overboard.
Doing the man, not only doing the man overboard, but describing and managing a man overboard. All types of docking. These are the knots they want you to know after your 101. Figure 8, square knot, clove hitch, round turn 2, half hitches, cleat hitch, and bowline. Okay, you probably struggle with the bowline alone at the very beginning, other than all these other knots. But believe it or not, I'm painting this picture of this is a ton of shit to know. And it is a ton of shit to know, especially if you haven't done it. But you will be surprised how quickly you absorb things, as long as you don't put a ridiculous amount of pressure on yourself. Okay. So, at our school, we send out a confirmation email. You should have a book. Either you purchase it directly you came down and got the book, or you ordered it online, or got the ebook, which I do not recommend getting ebooks. Because you can't flip through the pages like you can.
It's kludgy.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, it's kludgy.
You know. Plus, I send out the homework assignment that refers to the pages.
So you're reading on tiny screen, yeah. You're more screen time, which is not going to do anybody any good.
So, and we have information within our website. So you should have a book. They should tell you what you should be studying. We have YouTube videos. ASA, U.S. Sailing, puts out their own videos.
Well, let me interject this too. If the school you go to, because honestly, it was a huge undertaking doing these videos, because our videos are all specific to the boat we're teaching on. And that made things very, very difficult to do because there was just an extraordinary amount of time and edit work in it. So if your school doesn't have videos, which is a pretty safe bet because only 3 schools in the country do.
However, if you'd like to hire us to come out to you,
shameless promotion. The ASA actually has some reasonably good videos that you can refer to. And if you're in a program that doesn't have videos, I highly recommend gaining access to those videos. Most ASA schools do have access for free. Some schools may charge you for that access. They want you to join the ASA, that type of thing. But try and incorporate those videos into your learning process, because everybody's got a different learning style, and that does accommodate that visual auditory learning style that works well on a lot of people.
Some people
that we've seen work really well.
Yeah, some people learn best through demonstration, which the video does. Others are readers. I've had students like, I didn't watch the videos because I learned better by reading.
Yep.
But eventually, you do both, and to have both is an advantage.
And you can't just learn experientially. You can't just learn because somebody said grab that halyard and then next time know what halyard.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can. But it takes so much repetition that if you go to that cold turkey, it's a rare person that is going to be able to absorb 100% of the information that is presented to them experientially.
You're talking prior to getting.
Well, yeah, when there's your first day on the boat
versus relying on the first day.
Right, yeah, exactly. Right. This is all preparatory to taking a class.
Yes, and I think it's. Oh, goodness gracious. You said some very nice things about our videos, and I'm going to tell you, I am going to pat myself on the back. I'm going to pat us on the back. When we did the videos, we said, if we're going to do videos, they need to be specific to our area and our equipment. So we do these videos on the boat you're going to be on. And I do not talk like an expert in the videos. I actually communicate because I want you to take layman terms and then eventually turn them into the nautical terms that you need to do as smoothly as possible. You're going to learn it a little bit at a time.
I still think we should do an outtakes with all the knucklehead things that we did doing the videos.
Like the jumping around, like
it would be pretty funny.
Yeah, I saved those, but I don't think I'm ever
They're in a vault someplace under a deep desert.
Yeah. My point is, we've done these videos for you, and if you go with us, I hope you really enjoy them. We do get a lot of compliments on them, so hopefully other schools would do it as well. All right, so back to prepping yourself. So let's talk about it as a more human thing. Don't put pressure on yourself. Read as much as you can and realize what you don't understand. It's fine. You're going to be with us on the boat. You're going to learn it. Don't worry about it. I think some challenges for some students is the balance and stability on the boat once it's moving and floating.
It's physical. It's a very physical thing.
Yeah.
Especially when you're on, regardless of the size of the boat. Every boat's got its own little peculiarities in movement and roll rates, pitch rates, that type of thing. And
always throwing out those fancy terms.
And being patient with yourself. A lot of people expect these matrix moments where they are presented something and it incorporates into their very fiber. And unfortunately, that's just not how it works. You've got to be patient with yourself and let yourself absorb this information in however the best fashion it is, and be conscious about it. Think about how can I do this better? Be always thinking about how I can do better. I'm always thinking about how I can sail better.
Especially movements around the boat. Is that what you're saying?
Movements, but just the whole process. Just be patient with yourself that the thing that I like about sailing is that it is hard to do well. It's fairly easy to do, but it's hard to do well, like a lot of flying, you name it. So
this is hard because there's so much you could say. There's so many ifs, ands, or buts, and depends. If somebody asked me a question about sailing, when do I blah, blah, blah? And the first response is always, depends. What's the sea state? What's the wind? How are you feeling? Is somebody dead?
too many variables.
Yeah, what the heck's going on? There's a lot of variables.
So you do it mad over.
Yeah. Is he dead? Is he conscious or not conscious? Do I like him or don't like him? You know? How much in a hurry am I really get this guy? So anyway, there's that. A couple other things. People often think that sailing is good exercise. It is not. There's nothing good about it if you don't work out as a sailor. Because, and let me tell you what, while sailing, you don't make a lot of long-term motions. They're all quick twitch, quick response. And it could be a heavy load on a line. And if you're not already well stretched as a person, you make that one motion and you're throwing out 3 or 4 muscles in your back. And now you're done for 3
So particularly people who trim sideways.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You know, winch handles,
Yeah.
moving around, you're always in an odd position. Sometimes you're sliding.
Sailing is very physical.
Yes.
But for brief moments.
Yeah,
And the
and
loads
quickly.
could be huge.
Right.
For brief moments. Yeah.
So, oh gosh, I don't know if I should say this. Okay, we're in a high-tech area, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, not only females, okay, and sometimes not even females, have very soft hands, very light, tender touches.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to have hand strength. And you also have to have that mentality that when I grab this, I need to grab this with tension and be prepared for a load on the other end. There's a lot of physicality.
And it's a piece of line. If you don't hold it properly and you just let it flail,
oh my God.
you're going to get a rope burn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they don't heal fast.
So gloves.
Yeah.
If you have soft hand gloves, if you're a carpenter, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Okay, well, God, that probably just said, I'm not going to learn how to sail.
Yeah.
I don't want to work out. I just want to go sailing. Well, all I'm saying is there's going to come a moment where you have to do something quickly. And you're going to go, ow. And you're going to be like, why'd that happen?
Okay, let me clarify something here too, because we're talking about sailing in San Francisco Bay where there's a lot of load, a lot of wind, a lot of current, lots of demanding things in the summertime that are physical. You get into the wintertime here and it's just beautiful, idyllic 5 knots of breeze,
It's killer.
which is quite often a lot of the country. San Diego, the difference between San Diego and San Francisco is night and day. San Diego, a super breezy day is small craft. And if we didn't sail in small craft mornings in San Francisco, we'd never go sailing. San Diego, it's a rarer day.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the physicality of sailing, which is really limited to these higher wind areas.
No, I disagree.
Well, yeah, you sail a ton of Florida. What it's like. I mean,
It almost doesn't matter. If you make an oopsie and you have to react to it quickly, just like you said, you're making these quick,
yeah.
unexpected motions, regardless of load or whatever. You're just moving quickly, unexpectedly, and that's when you get hurt. You don't usually get hurt while you're grinding for 30 seconds because your body's doing it.
Right.
You know, it's when you react quickly is when you get hurt.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know. Anyway, where are we? What are we doing? We're talking about prepping for your class, right? So you should read, you should do videos. What else would you recommend for preparing for your class?
Well, it's interesting. We've had this sentiment of a lot of students lately, especially in the upper level classes, where they've built some study groups. And I encourage that when you are going through basic keelboat sailing, whoever you're going through it with, grab their information, because you already have this sense of camaraderie and sense of kind of destination of purpose with that person. We're unusual. We only have 2 students per class, but some schools have 3, 4, 5.
Except that's not always true. That's in the ASA 101. And then when we go to the basic coastal cruising, we have three. And then with
104, work 4. Yeah. It grows because people's skill set. We make smaller classes at the basic level, so we have more hands-on attention, more time doing things. So, but grab their information and communicate with them. We have a lot of people that have done these study groups at the upper level classes where they're drilling through the information, particularly the 104, 105 level, because there's a lot of information we learned there, particularly the coastal navigation 105, which we have as a prerequisite to 104, but something everybody needs to do anyways. Those study groups tend to work very, very well for people because
because you're talking about it,
various learning styles, and you're immersed in it. Yeah, and there's a lot of camaraderie.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really good point. And there's something else that happens with some new students. And sometimes we don't find out till late. They've had a bad experience on the water. We find this out. They want to learn how to sail, but they have been in a capsizing situation. One woman actually got injured. She wasn't in charge of the boat. There was a boat accident. She got hurt, and she still came to learn how to sail. So there's fear of capsizing. Some people want to sail, but fear the water, right? That always amazes me.
Well, and to that point, if you've had something happening when you're coming down and your instructor says, well, tell me about your experience, because everybody asks about the experience, don't be shy about advocating for that experience, advocating for yourself through that experience to the instructor, so they kind of have a heads up of what they might be encountering along your instructional path. You might feel, nervous about the water. You might feel nervous about the boom, which is not uncommon. You got things moving around above your head, and definitely advocate for yourself in that.
Yeah, most definitely. A lot of people don't answer questions unless you ask them.
Yeah, specific.
They don't volunteer.
Yeah, drill down. Yeah,
that information. And here's another one, and this is really, really important if it applies to you. If you have any medical issues, tell us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll give you an example, and this was a really, really tough one. Okay, some people, look, I had a bad student. Remember?
Yeah, we do.
He was paraplegic, right? Had use of his arms, not perfect use, but use of his arms. Outstanding sailor. He had an assistant that came with him. We made a plan for the particular boat. Everything was great, but it was up front and forward. Had a student, hopefully you'll remember her. Had this lady, very, very nice woman, got on the boat, and I thought, maybe it was just a nervous day, something that wasn't quite right. And the next day I asked her about it because she was on a medication, and she had a brain tumor.
Mm-hmm. So remember.
And because I asked, otherwise I wouldn't have known, she said she's susceptible to seizures. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And we had to talk about it. I wasn't upset about this, but how am I supposed to be prepared if something happens on the water?
Or as a company, what's the action plan in that situation, right?
Yeah. But to keep it about me, so here I am on the water, and something can go on that I didn't know about, right? So we actually had to sit down and talk about that, and we had decided that we needed to contact her doctor, and he needed to give approval for her for doing that, and he didn't.
Yeah,
and that was hard to deal with, and it's
it was really hard on her too.
I know, it was awful.
She was looking forward to it, and all of a sudden,
right,
she was realizing the limitations of what was going on there. So,
and it's
kind of sad.
Yes, it's not that we didn't want to do it, but the doctor recommended not to.
Right.
So,
but we've taught a lot of. I mean, we volunteer all the time for. We have the most inspiring group of humans that I have had the pleasure to sail with, Bay Area Association of Disabled Sailors.
Oh yeah.
We have quadriplegics, we have paraplegics, we have multiple amputees, we have cerebral palsy, you name it. I taught a guy who was legally blind at birth how to sail, and he, to this day, was one of the better sailors I've ever sailed with. I mean, he can tell a wind shift 3 days from now. And don't let some sort of physical limitation or even self-imposed physical limitation stop you, because the BADS people are the perfect examples of what you can do with what many people would think are completely debilitating limitations.
Yeah.
Having no use of your arms or legs, they're out there steering with chin servos and laughing and yelling at each other and get out of the way, I'm on starboard tack. And, it's just hilarious, but, it's so inspirational watching them.
Yeah. Anybody can learn to sail.
Yeah, anybody.
Certainly. So what else can they do to prepare? Here's one. Doesn't stick. I have absolutely no idea why. Look, if you drive a car, there's a hood to your car, right? So you're driving through Costco parking lot or Walmart or whatever it is. If there's something in the way of your hood, you don't hit it. You either slow down and stop or you turn, right?
Right.
Okay. The boat has a bow. Now, maybe we need to call that the hood so they can steer this boat like a car. My point is, all joking aside, my point is, once you get on the water, forget about the book stuff. Forget it. I don't care. I want to see you enjoy the boat. The best way to enjoy the boat is know where that pointy part is going at all times. There's going to be lots of references out there on the water as the bow is moving. But you know what? This is why we're doing the podcast. If I get nothing else out of this podcast, it's going to be this. When you're on the boat, watch the bow. We'll fix everything else down the road.
Yeah. It's a joke among charter captains. As two captains are going out, one will yell at the other, pointy end first.
Yeah, right. Jesus. Just keep an eye on... God, I want to swear right now, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just watch that fucking bow, man. It's either going right or left. Which one do you want? I don't want left. Then go the other way. Okay? Just please watch the bow. Other than that, it's easy. Then we're just going to go right into that stuff we talked about in the first episode was look, listen, feel. Just look, listen, feel. Sit still for a minute. Just see what's going on around you. Everything else is going to come. So at the end of day one, how do you prepare for day two? Guess what? I keep pulling too far away from the mic. Does it sound okay? I'm sorry. Believe it or not, you're going to go out, you're going to do some tacks, you might do some jibes. God, I don't know. You're going to do different stuff on the boat. Your body is going to remember more than your brain, believe it or not. And when you go to sleep, there is a process that goes on that builds muscle memory while you are sleeping. And just have a little faith in that and come back, and you're going to be really surprised how much you learned. And finally, for prepping, do not go out drinking the night before or the night after your first class.
Ragers.
Okay? And as Toby Keith wrote, remember, rum is the reason why pirates don't rule the world. Okay? So do yourself a favor. Don't start drinking until you're like, well, you passed your 104 class. Okay?
But I will point out that reviewing at the end of the day is important. And if you're lucky enough to be in a program with videos, that is a great time to just kind of do the video on 1.5 or 2 times rate. And all of a sudden, the stuff that you watched prior to coming down is all going to fall into place. And that's part of that muscle memory, because your brain's
and that was part of the plan.
But it starts clicking in at the end. We wake up the next day and go, God, I really know a lot more than I thought I did. And they show up on the boat. And you see this time and time again with our students prior to the videos that we go through the rigging nomenclature, how to rig up the boat first day. Second day, we kind of had to go through it again.
Sure.
First day is done before they come down because they've watched the video. And so by the time second day is, I just say, rig up the boat, and they just do it.
Yeah. And
it all goes great, which was the best testament to that made all the videos worthwhile when the second day they knew what was already to be
even
done.
If they get 80% of it.
Yeah, or 50% of it, but they used to get 10% of it.
Exactly. Exactly. So to surmise, you're reading and watching even before day one. Go out day one, come back, review some of the stuff that you did that was in the video, and let it all jive together. So
and don't hesitate. If you got questions, Google is great for everything, I guess. I'm not so sure. Better to just call up the school and say, I am confused about something. And because everybody who answers the phone there, I mean, our phone rings on 5 different cell phones and somebody always picks it up. And ask the question. Don't you can go through Google, but you're going to spend 4 hours answering a question that will take the instructor 3 minutes.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't call.
Yes.
If you're in a class, don't call. Write down that question. See if you can answer it yourself. If not, bring it the next time.
Yeah, but don't hesitate to call, because we're here. I mean, I tell everybody this. We are here to teach you how to sail, but you're getting all of our experience for free. And don't hesitate to avail yourself of the opportunity to use us as a resource in your education.
Okay. That's talking about us.
I know.
We'd love to talk about
me.
So, how about this? This is a tough question. What should a student hope to see in the school that they're going to prior to taking their classes?
So you'd like to be with a school that has a professional demeanor. And we talked about this briefly on the last podcast.
What was that?
Oh. GoPro shutting off. We talked about this briefly in the last podcast that some schools have a more, I won't say military, but more of a kind of a stern professional approach.
Really?
To how to.
Anybody in particular?
Well, we had a local school that went belly up during COVID, and it was a great school, but they had a very pretty regimented system. Which was fine, resonated very well. They were super popular. Mm-hmm. Some schools were probably a little more in the middle of the road. We're professional, but we're pretty laid back about our relationships with people. We're pretty friendly. And then some schools are just like, dude, what's what about Bob? Type of sailing agent or captain. What's a Kirk Russell one? Yeah,
Captain Ron.
Yeah, Captain Ron.
Yeah.
You want to have somebody who's professional. You want to have somebody who has a command of the tools, whether it's books, video,
curriculum,
the curriculum tools, the support tools. Mm-hmm. To help you get through this. And then I always think an important aspect is the equipment, because there's a lot of schools, sailboats are super expensive. And because of that, a lot of schools, us included, up until 8 years ago, we were teaching on Santana 22s, which are a great boat, but they're a 50-year-old boat. And boats have changed considerably in 50 years, and the boats we teach on now are very modern. They're extreme. They perform much better in all conditions. They're much, much easier to sail. Engines are strategically located right next to you. They're just, the layouts are great. The cockpits are huge compared to where they used to be. And so having very well maintained, but also well-designed equipment helps a lot. We use Andrews 21s. J22s are great boats. Those are all over the west or the East Coast. J22s are very popular. So having something that's got great equipment is a big boon as well.
So a couple of things. I actually just wrote them down. A couple of things. If I'm looking at schools, I want to, right from my first phone call, or email, I want to see timely responses. I want to talk to people and see what they sound like. Are they welcoming me or my check? What could it be? And then as I go through, I also want to see nice, I always call it culture. It's nice when the instructors interact with each other, and they're talking prior to going out. I like to see that. And after I take my courses, I want to, hey, who else can I sail with? What other students? Mm-hmm. Is there a crew list? Is there something where I can access other people?
Right. And that's what part of what I was saying is advocate for yourself in that process. Day one, get the name of all your classmates, get all their phone numbers and emails so you can actually interact with them from day one moving forward.
Yep. Awesome. Okay, so let's say, they've made it through their 101 course. What courses follow that, and do they get progressively more difficult?
This will get complicated.
Well, okay, we
go right into ASA 103 from the 101 class, and the 103 class is at our location.
Basic coastal cruising.
Basic coastal cruising. ASA 101 is basic keelboat sailing. ASA 103 is basic coastal cruising, and that is the first level of charter or skipper certification. And so at the end of that, you can start chartering the Andrews 21s. Slightly different version because it's got a furling jib, but start chartering those, and start building your skill set. And that's the whole thing. The more time you spend on the water, the better you're going to be. We offer club sales. Start taking club sales. There's upper level class people that are always looking for shared charter experiences. Jump on that crew list and start sailing with the upper level class people. Every time you can touch a boat and get out on the water, do it. We have a yacht club here that has a very active race series. Jump on a boat, learn, start racing, because they're always looking for people. Right. And in your area, all these things come into play, no matter where you're at. If you're in Annapolis or San Diego or Newport or Tallahassee, you're going to have options to participate in the lifestyle. The more you participate, the better off you are. So after 103, you can start sailing. And
hang on. These are all good points. But 103 is more difficult, but in a different way. Well, I'm going to see if you jump in and grab it. One of the things we're doing is refining the mechanics of the boat and what things do and your tillering experience and things like that. But the big thing that we're building on in the basic coastal cruising is what?
The sailor brain. Yeah. Well, how to think about sailing, how to get your brain rewired to a more encompassing view. It's not, we don't normally think about things in that. I mean, if the people in the military call it situational awareness.
Yeah, we use that too.
And pilots, sailors, there's lots of people that have to have very strong
surgeons, lawyers,
situational
prepared.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's just it's specific to the task.
Yeah. So what he's saying to, you're saying it fine, but
yeah,
I just think we're running really long. But nonetheless, we're developing you as a complete sailor. And some of the things that you're going to go through in the basic coastal cruising class is trip planning and understanding the navigation aids. And when we talk about situational awareness, is you're building this circumference around you and your boat that in 101, you're going to be like, hey, there's a boat over there. And the instructor is going to be like, yeah, it's 2 miles away, dude. I think we got plenty of time to deal with that. And now you're going to be like, hey, there's a boat at 1 o'clock. And it's about 500 yards off, and it looks like it's a powerboat. He's doing about 20 knots. I don't think it's a factor. And you've processed that in your head on your own. That's a big difference.
Yeah, huge difference. Yeah,
because when they get on for the 101, I hope they can't hear that woman screaming up there. When you I'm sorry, in the 101. You don't realize actually how much your instructor's doing. Like as a student, you're going to see a boat, maybe 2 boats, and it's going to take you 30 seconds to process what the heck is going on. Whereas every 2 seconds, we're processing 20 to 25 things in 2 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So your ability as a student to process information is going to grow immensely, plus the understanding of charts and water and time and distance and where you're going and stuff like that. So the 103 is really a great class. You should really start developing yourself as more of an overall sailor.
Well, in 103, we actually take the experiences that we presented in 101 and we expand on them to the point to where, because we fully understand that we're not teaching you how to sail. In many regards, we're teaching you how to teach. Because you're not sailing typically with sailors unless you're doing shared charters, that type of thing. A lot of people are just sailing with family and friends, and they've got to have such a command of the knowledge that they can actually present, okay, this is how we're going to operate a winch. This is how we need to pull in the main sheet. These are the things, these are the tasks that we need to do in order to sail together. And I'm going to have to teach you how to do that because you're the next best. You're going to be my first mate here.
Yeah. But for our classes, while we do want that, we also want you sailing with other students for your first year.
Absolutely.
So you can practice that versus being thrown into the fire with kids and a wife and they're like, what the hell are you doing?
Historically, sailing was always a mentoring sport. It was always either a family or a relation was taking you sailing as a little kid, and you would go out and spend the day on the boat. And before you knew it, you were driving the boat. And that person aged out. They gave you the boat. That was always that relationship for ages and ages, and it's that become less so as times moved on because our kids are in soccer camp, not going sailing together. So
our producer is looking at us like, good God, guys, how much longer is this? Just to let you know, I only got like 3 more topics left, Miles, okay? And they're short. So I think we're timing out on his patience, and I don't blame him. So after the 103 class, our basic coastal class, they can charter our boats. And we hinted on it a little bit. What is the purpose of them having, and we make it a requirement. You have to do X amount of charters before you can move on.
20 experience points to move on to the next level.
Yeah. Well, we
combination of charters. A combination of charters, shared experiences.
Okay, shared experiences. Yeah. And what is the purpose of that? Not just moving on to the 104, but what's the purpose of adding this stuff you have to do before the 104?
Practice.
Practice in all regards.
Yeah, practice in all regards. Yeah.
Yes.
Can't learn to play a violin if you don't practice.
Right. So hopefully, if they're learning in other places, they get that opportunity too, that they have boats that they can go charter.
Absolutely.
Because you can take classes, but at the end of the day, you got to learn on your own. We're not sitting on that boat with you anymore. I did have a student tell me, though, after the 104, he went and bought a boat, and he was bringing it from one slip to a different marina, and he was bringing it in. He goes, "You were on my shoulder the whole way."
That's a good one. Or not.
I know.
Depends on which shoulder. Devil David or Angel David?
It was probably both. You know me. It was probably both. Don't go that way, you moron. Yeah. That's much better. Good job.
Attaboy.
So who knows? Okay, so gaining experience. I don't know if we went through that too fast, but when you finish the 103 basic coastal cruising, we have experience points is what we call them. And it just gives you more time on the water and build your confidence. And then you're qualified to go on to the bareboat chartering course. What the hell do we call that?
Yeah, bareboat charter.
Bareboat charter.
Bareboat charter, or it's called intermediate. It's got 3 different names.
Right.
104.
And we're going to talk about this in another episode.
Right.
Anyway, so then after that, we actually throw in 3 more optional courses before you go on to the 104. And they are our high wind endorsement.
Sport boat first.
I'm sorry, you're right. Is the sport boat, which means you're moving up to a bigger boat, has winches on it, with the goal of mastering that boat so you can actually go underneath our Bay Bridge and go explore Alcatraz. But before you can actually do that, you got to get the time on the sport boat and then take our high wind endorsement.
Because Alcatraz is going to go from 10 knots of breeze locally to potentially 30 knots of breeze at Alcatraz. Yeah.
Now, your school may not offer that. We have to offer that. And it actually became a big deal with our insurance guy. He's like, that's a really great idea.
Yeah. It saved us 15% day one on insurance.
And then we prefer that you take the self-study course, the 105 Coastal Navigation, before you jump on the
which everybody should take anyways. It's a life skill.
Yeah.
I mean, you can figure where you're at and how to get out of there, whether it's on land or on water.
So then once you get through this stuff, you're going to move on to the bareboat course, which everybody wants to take, with the assumption that they are going to charter boats somewhere else around the world, right?
Yes.
And this is a great place to take that course. It has its pros and cons.
You learn in San Francisco. Yeah, the only con I can think about learning in San Francisco Bay is that when you hit lighter wind areas,
Yeah.
you're gonna be spoiled by sailing and having 20 knots of breeze at your beck and call.
Yeah.
And you're now going to have to figure out how to make the boat go in 5 knots of breeze. So we teach you that.
Yeah.
But it gets forgotten over the length of the classes because we go out later and later in the day as we get to the upper level classes. But learning how to sail a boat really well in 5 to 8 knots of breeze is important because you're going to go to a lot of places where that is the wind you're sailing in.
Yeah, we're talking about that. It's so funny. We're talking about the challenges of light wind sailing, 5 to 8 knots, where that's like the standard wind in so many areas. I would say another con for doing it here is you and Karen, and even Steve Malton came up with great destinations to take these guys.
In an area with not many destinations.
Thank you. That's what I was getting at. In Florida, we could go from St. Petersburg all the way up to Dunedin and come back. We could go to Anna Maria Island. We could go down all the way to Marco Island and back. So you had that sense of, it's not the Caribbean, but it kind of is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's great cruising ground.
Yeah, you can't really mirror that here. So
yeah, California's goofy on that. So San Francisco, we would have a lot of locations, but there's a lot of private marinas, and they don't really want you landing there because you're just liability.
Yeah.
So it's hard to actually get landing rights at most every marina in Sausalito.
Yeah.
For example, because they're all private marinas. And there are other areas. And then once you land there, like you can go to San Francisco, but you're not close to anything. There's just a marina there. There's no infrastructure there. Yeah. So it's not, and you find that in Southern California. You sail out of Long Beach, and if you can sail down to, we can't go to Huntington Beach. You can sail down to Newport. It's a pretty long haul. Yeah. It's typically not done in a day down and back.
Is Catalina Island reachable?
Catalina is reachable. It's 24 miles, 26 miles offshore, and it's beautiful. But a lot of people go spend the night there.
And there's not a lot of wind.
No, well, Catalina you get offshore, and you can be in some breeze. Typically what we sail in, or less, but you're in ocean swell. So the whole idea is cruising. As we get in, we'll talk more about the 104, but we start developing itinerary-based planning around it, and that's important. And we'll talk about all that in the next episode.
Yeah, 104 is a great class, and that's our first and only. Well, not only, it's the first inboard diesel class that we do as well. So you learn the systems. Well, I mean, you learn the systems in the 103. We could go over.
Yeah.
But in the 104, you're actually managing them.
Right.
Yeah, and like I said, Karen does an amazing.
The mechanical aspects of sailing, as you move up to bigger and bigger boats, your mechanical aspects, the physical aspects of operating that boat and keeping that boat operating get significantly more difficult because you're dealing with many, many systems. These little boats don't even have battery. They don't have running lights. Yeah. So as you get up to boats with batteries and engines and transmissions and radio gear and electronic gear and all of these things start adding up, it brings in a whole nother depth of complexity that you have to go through in order to sail. So that's the. So, okay. So we covered all the classes based on the fact that we are assuming you live near a sailing center that is you go to easily, get your needs met. Hopefully everything's just absolutely wonderful. What if you don't? What are your options to get a continual education? If you don't live in, I don't know, how far would you drive to go for a class? Well, there's two ways to approach that. The first way is just figure that you're going to be doing some traveling, which is the way I would suggest, so you can get repeated experiences.
Which is going to add to the cost.
Which adds to the cost. But what a lot of people opt for is the resort class, where they drop into a school for 5 days get ASA 101.
5 to 7. It's more like 7.
5 days is the 4 to 5 day program is ASA 101 through 103.
104.
And then the last 2 days are 104 because everybody teaches. All the other schools in most of the country teach 104 as a 2-day class. We are one of the only programs that teaches 104 as a 4-day class.
So at offshore, okay, Colgate, Steve Colgate, USA. You came in for the first 2 days, which was on the Colgate 26. Then the rest of the 5 days was spent on whatever the big boat's going to be. Usually it was a 44-footer, so somewhere like that. So that was the combination of the 103 and the 104 all packed into one. So at least you were on the boat for 5 days, thereabouts.
Yeah. Most of the resort courses in the West Coast tend to focus down in Mexico, and you're living on a catamaran. You're going through basic keelboat 1, basic coastal cruising, and bareboat charter on a 45-foot catamaran.
All right, and I'll just say it now because nobody else is going to say it, and I don't care. That's bullshit. It is absolutely freaking ridiculous, in my humble opinion. But me throwing that out there also leads me to, at the end of a resort course, are you actually qualified to charter a boat? Well, we're going to answer that question or address that question and create all types of hubbub in our next episode. Does that work for you?
Works for me.
You okay with me calling that bullshit?
Yeah, it's okay.
Well,
we just lost our PG rating.
Yeah, well, whatever. It's just, I don't know. Remember, every question asked related to sailing begins with, it depends. So I guess we're probably going to have to address that in the next episode with the understanding of, it depends.
Yeah.
But until next time, remember to keep the air in and the water out. And happy sailing. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Sail away to a distant shore, the two of us, just you and me. Let the stars